Good day everyone, I am Rika Macy Ramirez, a second-year BS Ed major in Social Studies student, and for today's video, I will discuss about micro-teaching basics under instructional learning process. So what is micro-teaching basics? Micro-teaching basics is a teacher training technique wherein it allows the student teacher to practice and improve their teaching skills. It is also the teaching of small content to a small group of students in a small amount of time. Therefore, in order to practice the basic teaching skills, the teacher must practice partially. Practice to master the basic teaching skills are those what we call micro-teaching. So how does micro-teaching work? Micro-teaching starts with a student teacher who teaches a small content to a less number of students. After the teaching performance, an immediate feedback is given by the supervisors who supervise the practice session. This helps in improving their teaching skills. So let's move on to the objectives of micro-teaching. The first one is to develop the self-confidence of the student teacher. The second one is to practice the teaching in a small amount of time. The next one is to provide an immediate feedback so that the student teacher can analyze the weakness and the strengths of his teaching skills so that they will know what to improve. The last one is to encourage the researcher to identify the new teaching skills. Based on the diagram, it shows the micro-teaching cycle. It has 6 steps. The first one is planning. So the student teacher plans his lesson in which he could practice his teaching skills. The second one is teaching. Once the planning is done, the student teacher teaches the lesson in a small group of students and is supervised by the supervisors. The third one is the feedback. It is the information given by the supervisors after the teaching performance. The next one is replan. Based on the feedback, the student teacher replans his lesson. The next one, reteach. After replanning his lesson, the student teacher teaches the lesson for the second time. And the last one, which is the feedback. Of course, another feedback is given again after the teaching performance of the planned lesson. So the next one is the phases of the micro-teaching basics. The first one is the pre-active phase or the knowledge acquisition phase. In this phase, it emphasizes the understanding of the teaching skills that the student teacher will practice. The second one, interactive phase or the skills acquisition phase. So in this second phase, the student teacher is now asked to practice the teaching skill following the micro-teaching cycle, which is the 6 steps: planning, teaching, feedback, replan, reteach, and refeedback. And the last phase is the post-active phase or the transfer phase. After the practice sessions, the student teacher can now integrate the teaching skills that he or she have improved and practiced into a real classroom. Advantages of micro-teaching. One of the advantages is it provides an opportunity to the student teacher to practice and improve their teaching skill. The second one is it promotes real-time teaching experiences. The next one is after the practice sessions, the student teacher can discover more knowledge about teaching. Another advantages is that, as what I've said on the characteristics of micro-teaching, it is also one of the advantages that the errors can be corrected after the feedback is given to the student teacher. The next one, after the practice sessions, the behavior and the teaching skills of the student teacher can be improved, so the self-confidence is now also improved. And the last one, in micro-teaching, the feedback is given immediately to the student teacher so that he or she will know what to improve on his teaching skills. The limitations of micro-teaching. So in micro-teaching, it requires a lot of time. The second one, it only covers a few skills. Only one teaching skills is also practice. That is why that teaching skills that is practice is not enough for the student teacher to improve all the teaching skills that he or she may use in the real teaching. The principles of micro-teaching. The first principle is one skill at a time. So in micro-teaching, it targets one skill that to be mastered and practiced by the student teacher. After it has been mastered, the student teacher can now move on to the next teaching skill that he or she will practice. For micro-teaching, focus on one skill at a time. The second one is small-scale content. The micro-teaching is based on a limited content. The student teacher plans his lesson according to the given content. That is why it makes them easier to conduct the lesson. The third one is practice. Of course, you need to practice in order to master the teaching skills. Lots of practice can lead to the improvement of the basic teaching skills, the teaching behavior, and the self-confidence of the student teacher, so that when the time comes that he or she will teach in the real classroom, he can now teach with confidence and apply the new methods that he or she discovered upon the practice sessions. Another principle of the micro-teaching is experiments. Experiments are done in order to test the skills of the student teacher. For example, when the length of the lesson and the time duration is changed. So the next one is instantaneous feedbacks. So when we say instantaneous, which does not have delays, the feedback is given immediately so that the student teacher can know what to improve. And it also involves the student teacher, the peers, and the supervisors. The next one is self-evaluation opportunities. Evaluation plays a major role in any task. Through evaluation, the student teacher can understand and overcome the mistakes that he or she have done in teaching in that particular practice session. Thus, overall development becomes an easier thing to do.